What's up? Welcome back to the pod. We started the podcast without hitting the record button because we're that excited about what we're seeing tonight. The lineup we've been begging for about 2 years now. We have Scoot, we have Shaedon, we have Klingon all on the floor together, pushing the pace. Oh, that was a wild pass. It's hard not to watch the game right now because it's fun, but it's what we wanted to see for a long time now. And it's a team that, as I was telling the guys here just a minute ago, it's a team I think just by the eye test they can be competitive. I'm not saying this year or without tweaks or without development, but it's the type of team that I think could make a run. And that is not the case. That doesn't pass the same eye test when Anthony Simons and DeAndre Ayton are on the floor. So even if this team ends up losing by 30 tonight, I'm excited by what I saw there in the second quarter and I hope we get to see more of it this year. Trade Simons and Aiton. They got to go.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Last night's game against the Timberwolves, because this was a home back-to-back. Anthony Simons got hurt, and hopefully he's okay. It was kind of a scary, weird thing, chest injury. He got hurt really early in, and from that point on, it was Scoot and Shaedon finally somehow sharing the floor. I've been begging for it. We've all been begging for it. And Scoot and Klingon sharing the floor. That's the kind of lineups we've been wanting. And not only that, Denny had his best game as a Blazer, right? Aiton was out. Robert Williams had an amazing game last night. He was everywhere. You could see why he was the Defensive Player of the Year candidate in the past, just because he was awesome. He was changing shots at the rim, getting steals. If he stays healthy to the trade deadline, you can see why contenders would want to buy on that guy because he was game changing totally. That's why he's out tonight, I'm sure, just for rest. I'm not back to back. He's sitting on the bench. But man, he was awesome and just exciting ball. This is what I want everybody to. This is why everyone that watches our podcast and what we've been trying to just shout from the rooftops, just focus on one thing if you can. Even if from now on, like Kirby said, it's a collapse. The style of play that we saw in the second quarter that we saw last night is night and day. The ball does not stick. Jeremy Grant in last night's game had 8 assists because that kind of ball movement is infectious when it's not an Anthony Simons ball stick show where the ball dribbles for 20 seconds and gets stuck. And here's the last thing I'll say before I hand it off to Riley, because this I just heard on the broadcast. This is a Tom Haberstroh stat. Um, as a guy who has been saying, let's give Aiton a shot, right? Donovan Klingon, currently fourth in the NBA in efficiency as the roll guy in the pick and roll because he sets the good screens. Now, one thing Aiton has not been doing, regardless of what I think he can do, has not been setting good screens. So Donovan sets good screens. That's what he definitely does, right? So I love what I'm seeing play style wise, moving the ball. Scoot moves the ball. I love seeing that. Shaedon has been playing great. I love seeing that. So let's keep it up. Keep this young guy unit moving forward. Tumani has been fun. Everybody's been fun. It's been fun. We did not see that last year. Riley, I talked too much because I'm excited.
No, it's good. It's hard sometimes doing this thing where we're critiquing sports and stuff when we're just like talking heads, we're not players and everything. And I don't want it to ever sound like it's a personal thing or, like we're attacking somebody personally. But I mean, how long have I been saying that Aiton is just not the guy? He is just not the guy for this team. I knew it before we even went out and got him. When we started hearing rumors that maybe the Blazers would be interested in going and getting someone like that, he's just not the right fit for a few reasons. I think he would have been a better fit with Dame if we had tried to stay on that timeline. Maybe just because he wouldn't have needed to do as much offensively and maybe could have just like spaced the floor and stuff, which we needed that. But with an up and coming team that doesn't necessarily have, like the ball dominant point guard structure like we've had for a long time that takes a majority of the shots. It's just not the right fit for the Blazers. I don't think his mentality is quite right. I don't think that he is out there to have fun in the same way that it seems like these young guys are. And I don't know if that's just where he is in his career, or if it's just his personality or what. But yeah, when you see guys play like they're playing right now, where they're out there, Kirby talked about this before we hit the record button. They're out there hustling, they're flying around, they're grabbing loose balls, they're diving on the floor. And that's not just the little guys, it's the big guys too. It's Klingon, it's the hustle guys. Totally different energy. It's the energy we've been asking for years. It's the energy that we were hoping this team could bring. And I don't see Aiton or Anthony being a long-term part of that. It's part of just the nature of the beast. This team has to be allowed to develop on their own. And those guys developed with other teams. They already did that. They already went through with young guys, came in super new and green, developed a culture. And to like come in and try to set the tone when we've got a whole new batch of guys trying to set it their own tone, I just don't see it working out. We got to get rid of them. They're also taking up way too much money, and we have too much stuff to do with that money to get these young guys the rest of the pieces they need to make a run. So I am on board. Let's go.
Yeah, I think one of the key takeaways for me just watching this is just the eye test that we talked a little bit about. I'm no basketball savant. I'm not an expert. I'm not a coach or anything. But just watching a little bit of this, it just really looks to me like this team can compete. They're flying around. They're playing energetic. It just looks completely different when Aiton and Simons are out there. I could tell from day one when Aiton came in, it's like this. You just can't win with that guy in that role. Like maybe you can if he's put in a different position where there's a better team around him and maybe more veteran guys. Obviously, Phoenix when they had Chris Paul and Devin Booker and uh, Cam Johnson and uh, Bridges, he fit in better in that sort of situation, a bunch of veteran guys. But in this kind of situation where it really feels like ball movement, you said, not sticking, flying up and down the court, looking just for a few moments at Aiton. I mean, at Klingon. I keep saying Aiton for some reason. At Klingon, he looks like a guy that you could build a winner around. Like he's going to come in there and just make like three consecutive winning plays, even if it's just affecting a shot, doing the dirty work or whatever. I watch Aiton and it feels like he makes three consecutive losing plays. He like blows a layup, gets blown by on the other end. It's just whether it's the fit or the actual player, just the eye test is shockingly different for me. Not even looking at the stats, not even looking at anything else like that. It just and really the same thing goes with the difference between Scoot and Anthony Simons. Very similar on both those levels. It's just Scoot is a point guard. Anthony Simons really is not a point guard, and looks like Scoot's the type of player that if he has a few guys around him, he's going to be a huge difference maker. Just his ability to push the ball, handle the ball, find his guys. It's nice to see.
And
I will
like,
say,
I just want to be clear. Like, they very well could lose this game. They could lose, 60 more games this season. I don't care. Like that wouldn't change any of the excitement that I have right now. It really wouldn't. I still think that's what we need to be doing. I think that these guys need the time to develop. We've been calling for it for months and months and months. Just give them time on the floor, time on task, time together, and they'll learn how to win. It's probably not this year. We all know that. That's fine. I don't I if they do really poorly, they might get some awesome help next year. Um, Nothing would change. Even if they lose this game and go on a massive losing streak.
I want
the,
to make one more point, and then Colton, you can have
go
it.
ahead.
But this is really clarifying to me that the two guys hammering on this point, but the two guys that have to go like very soon are Simons and Aiton. Jeremy actually fits into this lineup pretty well. I feel like he's you'd rather have maybe Audrey or a younger guy or younger wing, but really he fits in pretty well. Like you said, 8 assists in the last game, able to move the ball around. He can hit the shot. He's kind of the veteran presence on the team. He's not as much of a black hole on offense and defense as those two other guys. So those are and it kind of sucks because he's probably maybe the most valuable of the three as far as what you can get back for a trade from him. But I would focus on keeping him and trying to find something for the other two guys.
I actually think Jeremy's played better on defense this season than he has the last two. I've seen a couple defensive stands from him this season that have been really good, which I knew he could do. But yeah, I just love this is what I it's kind of what I ended my last diatribe with. This is what we wanted to see last year as far as like the flash in the pan of like, okay, this
Did
is
you
the
just
kind of
see that
stretch
dump? Oh my
what
God.
we could be excited for. And oh, Banton.
Banton just absolutely posterized the hell out of, was it?
The miss, the he got fouled.
Oh, I thought he made that. Oh my
So
God.
Banton, so let's really quick talk about Banton. So there was a stretch where he was lighting up, then there was a stretch where he was bricking. Banton has had some times where he's looked like a player that let's actually wait and see a little bit. I know we've been up and down on Banton because Banton's been up and down, but I'm not gonna say jettison Banton. I want to see more of Banton. Let's just wait a second here because there's been some flashes where I'm like, okay, Ban's made some moves that are like NBA player moves where he has a hesitation dribble or he like actually makes a good pass. He had some like stretches where he was making a couple lobs to Klingon about 3 plays in a row where he read the defense and made an alley-oop pass. Last season he wasn't really making those reads as much. I've liked what I've seen from Banton in his stretches where he's been on. He's still young as well. He's got size. His shooting has looked better. Just like Tumani's shooting has looked better this season in limited minutes or limited attempts. So let's just keep waiting. What see what he can bring.
Guys that he really has eye-popping stat lines. Like if you're not watching the games, when he goes 4 for 18 or whatever, it's like, oh my God, like you got to get rid of this guy. Then other times he'll go like, what did he go like 8 for 9 or something last? You know, he has great shooting performances. He just gets a lot of shots up. And you're
Yeah.
right that he looks at times he looks very smooth. And I don't think you can necessarily blame those 8 for 14 performances or yeah, 4 for 18, excuse me, performances on him totally when like last year he was playing with I can't even remember who G League players and at times he's playing in garbage time, you know, where the ball isn't moving around. He's not getting easy looks. He's having to take real tough shots. So that has something to do with those crazy stat lines, but he's not afraid to shoot.
Yeah. And I really quick wanted to say as well. Denny. So Denny has been shooting really badly, but I mentioned this last week. I want to touch on it again. Denny's play style is exactly what I wanted a player of his caliber to bring. He gets the ball, he runs it up the floor, and he's got size, he's got dribbling ability, he draws fouls, he's aggressive, he hustles, like what you guys are saying. The hustle, the guy that wants the ball, dives on the floor, plays defense, does all of that does all of that. He wants the ball. He wants to win. He's aggressive. Last game, he was hitting those shots. Man, that player, if he
Chris
hits
Murray
30,
diving on the ground. It gets contagious. Now you got Chris Murray diving on the ground too.
yeah, exactly. If Denny hits 37% from three like he did last season, the whole entire season in Washington, and is the guy I saw last night on defense and hustle, that is a core piece of your future, and he is on a great contract. That is such a good deal of a player, and he's younger than Tumani Kamara. Come on. Like the pieces, you can see it. And it's what I've been trying to tell people. Like, yes, it has been depressing. And it has been like, why are we doing this as a Blazer fan? This has sucked. This is why you can start to see some flashes of this. Let's just give it a second as Banton ties the game, right? Let's see it. Let's hope we can start to see some things get put together here. Maybe Trader Joe is actually cooking, but we need to get some guys out of the way, which is what we've been banging our heads on the table. We have all been talking about the exact same thing. And maybe that's what he's been trying to do. Let's just try and get some trade value for these guys and then get them out. But unfortunately, they're not raising their trade value at the start of the season. But whatever, maybe just rip the band-aid off at this point because you don't want to
Like
mess
I
with
joked about in
them.
the group chat, just cut him. It is that is a joke, but it is
Just get some
crazy how
second round picks. The game's
at
tied
this point it
up.
really feels like they don't need anything else. They don't need much else this season. They just need to get rid of these guys. Just get some picks for them, and like, yeah, it is tough though when there's so much money tied up in them.
Package them
That's
with Duop maybe and try to like maybe get a desperate team like the Pelicans who don't seem to know what they're doing and like, you know, finagle your way to the Hornets bumbling their way into something, you know, try to get some seconds out of it and just keep moving forward because you've got the Bucks future picks, which let's talk about the Bucks again. Would you rather have this young, exciting team, or would you rather be where the Bucks are, dealing with aging, depressing stars? Like, again, this is what I try to tell people. My grandma, listen, my grandma. What do you think my grandma came up to me and said to me the other day? This is standard Blazer fans, by the way. What do you know about that DB Hooper player? I'm like, DB Hooper?
that's Banton. That's his nickname.
Delano Banton, DB Hooper.
Yeah.
She's all about DB Hooper now. So this is how it works. You gotta rip the Band-Aid off. Sometimes it sucks for a second, but let's see where we're at. Give it a little bit of time.
Yeah, I mean, y'all know me. I would take Dame back in a heartbeat, but given where we are and the reality of our situation, yeah, I mean, it's time to just move on. Like Kirby said, there's not any big glaring holes and like things that we absolutely need to go get like a good player or whatever. Like there's been some talk about where Grant might be able to go and try to get a younger guy back and everything. And like if that works out, fine, I'm not against it. But for the most part, it's just a matter of clearing out those two guys, honestly, Anthony and Aiton, which again we've been calling on for this podcast basically from the very beginning. We've mentioned several times our very first video was that Anthony's not going to work out in Portland, and here we are, still talking about
Dame and
Anthony.
Anthony coexist. No, they cannot.
Can I
Yeah.
just give a quick update? So the Bucks played the Pistons tonight.
Did they lose that game?
No, hear me out.
Okay.
Giannis needed 59 points in overtime to beat the Bucks, and now the Bucks have the same exact record as the Blazers. Come on, is that sustainable? No,
No, they're a
that's gonna
mess.
fall apart.
It's
They're in a
crazy how
terrible
thin they
spot.
are. It's like Giannis, Dame, Bobby Portis, and then a bunch of guys I've like never even heard of. It's
Brooke
crazy.
Lopez, the shell of Brooke Lopez,
Uh,
the corpse. They roll him out before the game, stand him up at the basket.
so what do you? So
Here's what I think. Because the Blazers at this point, they if they play like this, might be, and it may be because they're at home and it's back-to-back home games. They might be in danger of playing themselves out of solid position for a guy like Flag or Bailey or things like that. We'll see. This could be a small stretch, right? But what do you do? You just let it ride, obviously. You don't want to mess with a good thing, you don't want to start sitting guys, young guys if they're playing well. And I don't think it's going to get to that point. But other than trade Aiton or Ant at the deadline, because I know that's what we all want, what else would you guys do? I know you guys have been saying it. Would you guys do anything else?
I don't know if I would, like you said, if you can get something really good for Robert Williams, maybe just because the injury worry is always there with them, and it's sort of a gamble to keep him around. If you can get a decent young guy or a good pick out of that situation. But him as a backup for Klingon, like those two I would much rather have either one of those guys than Aiton. The real concern is I just don't understand how you're really going to get off of Simons and Aiton and be able to match salary. You're going to have to take back some kind of expiring contract or older guy
I just want
who's
you
on a
guys to
big
look at this
contract.
massive Klingon block really quick on Nas Reed.
Oh,
Out of bounds on Reed, but they didn't call it the right
oh
way.
yeah, that is off of him. Jeez, yeah, that is.
Oh, and then Donovan with the steal.
So I wanted to say because I was looking at Donovan's stat lines from the last few games, that guy is way beyond NBA ready. I mean, he is coming in as an NBA force. He's coming in as an NBA walking double-double, playing backup minutes to Ayton. If he's getting serious minutes like he is tonight,
Danny?
I
Oh
mean,
man,
he's
am I ahead of you?
we're talking about a triple double threat on blocks. I mean, he is like really dangerous. We were excited about him when we got him. We had a little bit of him hawing about, maybe we could have gone with someone else, but I am very happy with our decision. He is looking like an NBA caliber
Guys,
player and a
I'm not even
This
paying
defensive
is so
attention.
fun to
force.
watch.
I'm not even paying attention right now. I'm just watching. I'm sorry. I'm lost in the sauce.
It's
I
so
am
fun to
paying
watch.
attention. I am paying attention. I'm listening to everything you just said. It is fun to watch, Kirby, and it is, I agree, everything with, I can't even handle this right now. Kevin
No, it's
Calabro's going
crazy.
crazy. Colton's going crazy. Donovan Clingan's going crazy. He just
I
blocked
haven't felt like
another.
this as a Blazer fan since Dame dropped like 71 or whatever he did a few years ago. It's like this is the best the team's looked in several years at least.
And
Crazy that it's
who's
all
not on
finally
the
coming.
floor? Our two like highest paid guys other than Grant
Another
are
thing I
not on
wanted
the
to mention
floor.
about Klingon is it was limited exposure, but again, just the eye test. He came in and was playing against Wimby last week or whatever, and he like somewhat matched up with them. He was like
He did.
somewhat effective against Wimby. And that it's just crazy having a guy like that he, I said this when we drafted him, Blazers drafted him. The dude is just a winner. He's won everywhere he's been. He's a two-time national champion in college. He's a high school champion. He's got the culture, bringing in the winning culture, but also he just makes winning plays. Clearly, there's a reason those teams won championships. It's because they had him in the middle, making everything hard on the defense and making all the right plays. Just it's that is such an underrated thing in basketball. It's crazy to me that it's underrated. But guys like Russell Westbrook, who put up ridiculous stats, triple doubles, but they just don't make winning plays. And then you got the super underrated guys that just you just watch them for 5 minutes and they do like 10 things to help their team win.
Two things, really quick. One thing, totally related to what you're talking about. The other thing's not. The first thing, Donovan Clingan, I think one of the most impressive plays he's made has not showed up in the box score. It was in the game against Wemby and the Spurs. He had the ball on the 3-point line, Donovan. He dribbled it. He had a dribble drive from the 3-point line by himself, just from the 3-point line, and drove in by himself and kicked it out for the three. And he's what, 7'2", straight up pure center, but he like dribbled down and kicked it out. And I don't even think the guy made it, but it was a perfect drive in and kick. I didn't know he had that. That was awesome. I know he had like good passing ability, but a drive and kick, 7'2", if he can unlock that kind of game, whoa, that'd be crazy. Along with his three that he's shown a little bit already this year, that's kind of a unicorn level
15
player.
points, 11 rebounds, and 5 blocks tonight for Donovan.
Yeah. And then the other thing I want to say, guess who else? Guess what other team has only 4 wins and the Blazers are in danger of passing them in wins right now? Can we guess what other team that has been annoying to the Blazers lately that has 4 wins right now? Just lost in a very embarrassing way recently.
Was it Dallas? I know they're struggling right now.
Dallas might, but that's not what I'm thinking. Think of another Dame related trade team.
Oh, Miami?
Miami.
Miami. Yeah, weird. Miami Heat are in danger of having a worse record than the Portland Trailblazers right now. The Dame trade package somehow is not getting it done out there in Miami, Florida. I don't
And
know.
Tyler Hero and Jamie Yaquez Jr.
Tyler Hero actually had 40 points in the last
Yeah.
game,
Oh,
but
that embarrassing is what you're talking about. Spoelstra cost him on that one.
yeah,
That was wild.
Spolstra, the pulled a
The co-
mission.
the best coach in the NBA.
He
Oh,
did.
speaking of
Love
that, you guys hear about
Yeah,
Popovich?
hope he's okay. That's
Yeah.
serious.
Prayers out for Popovich.
No, no memes on that one.
Yeah,
No, I
in
hope he's doing
case
good.
anybody listening didn't hear, small stroke, expected to make a full recovery. But he's been out for a while and people didn't know why, and it's out now. So,
I
yeah,
hope that
prayers up.
not trying to put any bad juju out there, but I hope this isn't like the end for, I hope he doesn't use this as an excuse to retire. I think he's the type of guy who should just coach until he dies. To be honest with you, die out on the floor. He's keep doing what you love. Like that's when you geez, another massive block from Klingon.
Klingon
Holy
has
crap.
got 6 blocks on the night, fellas. This is
He's having
getting
like
kind of
all
crazy.
he needs is minutes. All this dude needs is
He
minutes.
needs conditioning to get the minutes. I think it's on the way.
I
Is he?
can't
I feel like he's proving right now that he's pretty damn conditioned. I feel like it's because right now Billups would be going back to the bench to bring in
I
Aiton
think
if he
he's
was available.
walking up the floor, but yeah, Denny running, but
I can't tell you as the resident big man on the podcast, I can't tell you one how good it feels to reject a shot, into the bleachers, but second of all, what a game changer it can be. Like it can be such a huge energy changer to have a block shot, and especially if you're blocking regularly, like that makes everybody second guess their shots. It takes away entire options that the other team has offensively.
Everything at the rim right now. Every time they go
yeah.
inside, it's a bad shot because he's
What
there.
what else I've noticed from this game, and I can check the stats if because my eye test, like you've been talking about the eye test, Kirby, but I want to check these stats.
The stat
Anthony
test.
Edwards has looked frustrated. So he's 9 for 22 for 22 points, but he is 0 of 8 from three. Tamani Kamara has been up in his jersey. Chris Murray right now is up in his jersey. Looked like he just lost the ball out of bounds. Chris Murray has played well tonight from what I've seen in my little spot minutes here. Chris Murray's 3 of 6. He's a plus 12 tonight. He's not hit a three, but he's got 4 rebounds. Denny has got
Basketball is
six
such an
rebounds.
interesting game, how contagious it is, just the energy. If you got a couple young guys in there that kind of,
Yeah.
like I said earlier with Shaedon being the icebreaker, just going out there and making the early plays, and then the team gets excited around him. And then you got Scoot pushing the ball, you got Denny pushing the ball, you got Jeremy hitting the shots, you got Klingon, everything funneled in him, making all the right plays, setting the good screens, rolling hard to the hoop. Everyone starts diving for the balls. Everyone's the stats look better. The shots start going in. It's like
This is the first time I looked at the box score. Shaedon's leading the way with 20 and efficient 8 of 15 from the field. Love it. Love it. Shaedon leading the game in the team in scoring. That is efficiently. That is beautiful.
That's what we need.
exactly what you want. That's
That's what we want.
exactly what you want.
He should
Two
be
of
our
eight
bulk
for three.
scorer.
That's okay. That's
Weren't
okay.
the three leading scorers they were when I checked earlier? The three leading scorers were Shaedon, Scoot, and Klingon. I don't know if that's
Yeah,
still the
that is
case, but that,
100%
I
correct,
mean,
Kirby.
did you ask for more? That is exactly what we've always wanted.
Scoot is 40%. I will take that right now. Shaedon is over 50%, and so is Donovan. I will take all of that.
You mentioned something else that before, I think this was before we started recording. Just stop me if I'm wrong, but you said something about how our own Kendrick Lamar Heard was talking about how there's no gaping hole, no player that the other team can go at on the defensive end, which kind of sounds like a crazy veiled direct shot at Simons, but the man is right. There's no
His
player on
exact
this team.
quote. This is Lamar Hurd's quote. When the lineup was literally just Aiton was out and Anthony Simons was out, but I know he was talking about Simons specifically because that's the guy that gets targeted on the perimeter. But he said, right now, there's nobody in this lineup that can get targeted on the defensive end, and that's unique because that's how this lineup was built to be long and switchable. The only difference was, like I said, Scoot was in there and then it was Tumani and Shaedon and Jeremy. So it's like
I don't want to
normal.
bring the energy down here. I don't want to get down a crazy track here, but I am curious. The team looking this way it does. You mentioned long switchable players on defense. Is this a case of Chauncey finally having his guys and being able to implement his system, his defense?
Here we go. You're gonna get me
Could it
started.
could this be a good thing going forward? Could he get it figured out? And now that he has his guys in play, like
I'll say
could this
this.
team be competitive? I'm just saying the man has some experience running a successful defense, and then the last 3 years he's had to deal with Damian Lillard and then Anthony Simons being out on the floor, gaping holes on defense. Maybe he has his guys now. Maybe this was the plan all along.
let me ask you this. So Chauncey's in the last year of his deal. Tumani, man, he's a monster. Let me ask you this. Do you want to extend Chauncey Billups? Because his contract is up.
You're gonna have to see how the rest of this year plays out. I think that's the
I
only
just
way
don't
to.
think you can extend the man no matter what.
So he would be gone next year. Is that what
I
you?
think so. I think this is it.
If
So
this team like
unless it's just like crazy, like the city
makes the
rallies around
playoffs,
him and he like
But
they
that's
just
not even the
look.
goal. That's not even the goal, though. That's the thing that's so hard is like, how do
but you
you?
would take that. That means this team is like at this age, they're playoff ready. I mean, you how could you not be excited about that?
But it's not the expectation. I don't know. I think it's kind of weird to fire a coach when like the three most recent years that he's been here have been years that we basically tanked. I mean, if this does turn into another tank year and we successfully tank, I don't know that you can really put that on Chauncey. This team is not supposed to win this year. It would
I
be
feel like
exciting
it's
if they did. Sure, I'm down. But I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I guess that would just be making the decision that he's not the long-term piece at
Do you
coach
one year? Do you ask
regardless.
if he wants to do a 1 year deal? Then does he even
Yeah,
accept
I'd be
that?
down. I'd be into that. Yeah, I think that he's a little bit on probation. I agree with that. But I
if
just
they
don't
look
think
like
you can blame
this,
him for being the tank commander.
if they look like this the rest of the year, I think you keep him. I mean, why not? He's finally got his lineup out there. They're finally able to play
Donovan
his
again.
style his style of basketball. Oh my God, 7 blocks.
Is he going to get a triple double with blocks? If he does, I called it. You heard it here first.
That would be insane.
I mean, he's
That's
on his
giving
way.
me.
If he plays 38 minutes, he probably would get it.
I don't know if
This
he
has
got
been
the
so
wheels,
fun. This
but
whole stretch, the whole time we've been talking, the Blazers have just been slowly extending the lead with like elite defense, shot blocking, interrupting passes to Monty out on the perimeter, and then making plays on the offensive end. This is insane to watch.
Klingon has 17, 12, and 7. That is that's just on its own a better stat line than we've really seen from Aiton in a long time. I mean,
It's
he's
like
had some big scoring nights, but to get that kind of
he's got
scoring
Aiton's
that
had good
efficiently,
rebounding as well this year to start the year. But you're right, he has not had the other stats to back it up.
that's on 6 of 9 shooting, Klingon. He's
For
got
sure.
17, 12, and 7 on 9 shots
For
in
sure.
27 minutes.
For sure. I
That's good.
agree.
That's good. As a
7 blocks,
rookie.
you can't argue
A
that.
rookie.
A rookie, yeah.
I was gonna say, is there any better? Has a rookie put up a better performance
Edie
than this
has had
tonight?
a big game or two in there, and there's sometimes we're like, oh man, who got the better big? What if both teams got a good big? It's not really a lot that it happens in recent NBA history where two big guys even go in the first lottery because big guys don't get drafted that high. But this year's draft was really weird. Also, Stephen Castle has been looking really good on the Spurs lately, which we've known that he was probably going to be pretty good. Um,
Chauncey coaching up Shaedon right now. Also, Donovan's over on the sideline talking to everybody, clapping his hands. It's exactly what you want to see.
Winner. Winning mentality.
Fun game, and we're not going to be able to commentate the end of it
I
together. We're
know.
out of
I'm kind
time.
of excited to just dial in and watch the end, though. Hopefully, it doesn't all fall to pieces here and negate everything we said.
Even if
But
it does, what a
yeah,
crazy game this is.
I thought during
Last
this
game.
they would get down like 15, but it's been the opposite.
Think about this built off of last game. This last game was the same thing. Add in Robert Williams, who played amazing. So like fun couple games no matter what. It would suck to lose this one after this, but
Minnesota has two fourth quarter points. Two.
That's
wow, that's
terrible.
incredible.
They must be very frustrated. I mean, like we all called it on this podcast that Julius Randle was not the answer to what ailed
What
Minnesota.
are they
And they're
thinking?
like, about to get bounced out of the NBA Cup by the Portland Trailblazers. Like they must be frustrated. They're gonna lose Ant. Like as soon as they traded Cat, I knew like for Randall that their days with Ant are numbered because he's gonna get irritated.
Julius Randle is currently 4 for 11, 8 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 for 5 from free throw line, and 0 of 2 from three. That's a Julius Randle stat line. Doesn't space the floor.
Cat's making plays for New York in the meantime.
Yeah,
Well, this has been an absolute blast to watch. Probably the most fun I've had watching a Blazers game. And like I said, since Dame's 70-point performance, hopefully they can hang on. Thank you guys for tuning in with us during this very exciting, optimistic podcast. There's been a lot of tough times the last couple of years, but
we need it. We needed it.
maybe this will be the turning point and we'll start to really see some good stuff this year. Thanks for
That's why
watching.
you
See you.
rebuild. This is why you rebuild for times like this.
Bye.
Bye.